Thank you very much, Tina, and thank you all for being here today. We're here for all of you guys, so I want to make the presentation as interactive as possible. I'm sorry I cannot move around or get any closer because we have to record it, so I'm going to be standing behind the podium. But if you have any questions, just please feel free to interrupt me at any time, okay? I do have no financial conflicts to disclose. And I'm going to walk through these three main objectives throughout the presentation. And my goal is that at the end, you are able, and I'm going to come back to them, and I'm going to ask you a little bit of questions about what you've learned to see how I did my job. So I'm going to go very quickly on a Nutrition 101 review for us, talking about how nutrition is important for our health overall, independently of ALS or not. It will provide us energy. It will also make sure that our body is working the way it needs to be, and it also promotes a sense of well-being. So from there, we can already see that when we have anything that's impairing our ability to acquire proper nutrition, we don't feel as well as we would normally feel. And there's an extension of this beyond nutrient needs that goes to the whole emotional and social aspect of food. So we eat not because only we're hungry, but we eat when we're in social occasions. We like to go out to eat with friends. We have the emotional eating. And when we have all of this impacted, we are here to try to provide some ideas and some resources for all of you to be able to get at least some of that in your lives again. I'm going to be talking about these throughout the presentation, so I wanted to provide some background on macronutrients. Those are our proteins, carbs, and fats that we eat in most of the foods. They are the nutrients that will give us energy. They are the nutrients that are found in most of the foods that we eat. They are needed in large amounts, so these are all the foods and drinks that you have throughout your day. And any deficiency of these, it's going to lead to detrimental health impacts. Then, on the other hand, we have our micronutrients. So these do not provide you energy. So if you're taking a micronutrient supplement pill, like a Centrum or anything like that, that's not going to give you any energy, but it's going to make sure that your body is able to produce energy. So if those are missing, or if those are lacking, we cannot really produce energy the way we would like to. And when we're not eating well enough from the macronutrients, we're usually going to be with a low intake of the micronutrients, which are your proteins and your vitamins and your minerals. They are needed for everything that's happening in your body. So they are behind the scenes doing everything that's happening in our bodies. And we usually overlook this one, but this is one of the very important parts of nutrition as well. We always talk about food, but we need to talk about water, and I'm going to show what the evidence we have about hydration and ALS in the next slide. But this is important to make sure that our engine is operating, right? Try to run the engine of a vehicle without having the fuel to run it. You don't really get it. And the same thing with water. Water is one of our fuels, and our body is composed by about 60% water. So if we're not having enough fluids, we are not going to be able to run that smoothly. It is not only hydration, but it also helps us get rid of any type of metabolic waste. So what is a metabolic waste? Whenever your body has a reaction going on in your cells to produce energy or to produce anything that your body needs, there are going to be waste, there are going to be byproducts, and these need to be excreted. Water, it's what's going to take all of those toxic residues that are naturally formed. It's not anything bad that you're exposed to, but your body is going to be producing it anyways, and get it out of your body. Now, we talk about secretions. We talk a lot about those on ALS. Proper hydration is going to help a lot with those too. It's going to help with your breathing function. So it is very important. Also, bowel function. So here we go about why is nutrition so important, and why does it help us be a little bit stronger, right? So first is energy. And energy is usually your number one concern. We want to make sure that we're meeting your energy needs and meeting calories in order to keep your body weight stable. But it also will help slow down muscle breakdown. So whenever we're not eating enough calories, your body is on survival mode programming since you're born. Everything that happens in your body is going to always prioritize survival. So if your body needs to take away calories by breaking down your muscles, it will, because calories are needed for you to be alive. So if we are not eating enough calories, your body's going to take away from your muscles and from anywhere that you have it stored. So fat is first. Muscles is also going to be coming right there. So if we have enough calories, we're slowing down muscle breakdown. Can we stop it? No, ALS is neurodegenerative and it's going to produce muscle loss, but we can definitely slow it down. The third one that's very important is our immune system. So we talk a lot about fighting infections, and proper nutrition is going to be really important for that. Healthier bowel function. We see commonly problems with constipation. Nutrition is closely associated, not the only factor, but we can definitely help with improvements with that. And your healthy respiratory system is going to be definitely supported by it. Quality of life and allowing us to get the social component in our routine. I promise I'm not going to get too sciencey on this, but I have this one slide that I need to bring. What is the evidence that we have for everything I'm saying? Is not me saying this, is based off what we've learned so far with research. We know that weight is an independent risk factor for disease progression. So what does it mean? If I isolate everything else that could impact disease progression on ALS, weight is still going to be associated with disease progression. So weight loss is linked to a faster disease progression, independent of everything else that's happening with your disease state. About half of our patients demonstrate hypermetabolism, which means that your energy needs and nutrition needs are greatly elevated by about 15%, but for some it's way greater than that. For others it may be a little bit less, but we do see that commonly. Malnutrition is associated with a higher mortality, which malnutrition is really linked to the poor intake, the weight loss, and the loss of fat and muscle mass in our bodies. So again, going back to the weight loss issue. Regardless of BMI, now forget everything about weight loss. If we only look at water intake, patients with the higher water intake have demonstrated a better survival rate as well. So it's not just calories, but it's also hydration. And when I talk about water, I have a slide about it, but it's just not only water, it's any type of fluids that we're drinking, most of them. But it's about twofold longer, which is not a small difference. It's a great difference. So hydration is many times overlooked when we talk about ALS, but it's very important. There's a lot of talks about the carbs and how it may impact progression of ALS. We have already seen through studies that the intake of those refined carbs, usually the ones that we say when somebody's on a weight loss diet and we say, oh, stay away from those pastas, rice, breads, and all the yummy stuff. For ALS, it's the opposite. Those are going to provide you quick energy, and those are desired to be part of your diet. It's not that you're taking away everything else that's healthy and only eating those, but you're including those on everything that you're eating. Nutrition supplementation promotes weight stabilization and gain. So by nutrition supplementation, I mean those oral nutrition supplements, such as your Ensures, Boosts, and all of that, okay? So there is enough evidence to support that if you are able to have those daily, it is going to promote weight stabilization. I mean, of course, that's going to add you a lot of calories, proteins, and nutrients on it. And a feeding tube placement is shown to have decreased weight loss and increased survival time. So we'll talk about timing for that. Now, we know the the background. We're going to conquer the challenges here together. Everything that you're going to see this is not supposed to be individual medical recommendations. This is just general recommendations, okay? Please follow your individual ones. First thing that I talked about, and I like to talk about this a million times, calories come first. If we are meeting energy needs, usually most things fall into place, and we're able to preserve body weight. So we many times make the mistake of going for protein as our primary reason for eating. We don't want to do that. If we're eating a whole lot of protein, but we're not eating enough calories, the protein will not go to help preserve your muscle mass. That protein will go to give you energy. Remember that protein is one of your nutrients that produce energy. Whenever you break those down, it gives you energy. So we need calories. Once we have calories met, we will be able to spare that protein to go to your immune system, to go to your muscles, and try to preserve as much as possible muscle mass. Increasing number of calories on what we eat it's tricky sometimes because it's very hard to tell someone who does not have a great appetite to eat more. So instead of eating more, we try to pack what you're able to eat with more calories. Does anybody know from in between carbs, proteins, and fats, which of those give you more energy? Which of them have more calories? Fats, very good, thank you. So fats are yielding a lot more energy than proteins and carbs. So when we're trying to be sneaky and add more calories to your foods, we're trying to add fats anywhere we can. So that means whatever type of fat that you can think of, that you enjoy having as part of your food. If you like to add extra butter on your mashed potatoes, if you like to add, instead of using low-fat milk on your coffee, you're going to use half and half as your creamer. That's very calorie-dense and a lot of fat. So using the powdered milk, evaporated milk, half and half, and all of those in any recipes that you can make those sauces, make those gravies, and those are going to give extra calories. Avoiding anything that is low-fat, low-calorie, fat-free, any of those products should be away, and your options will be going to the full, real version of all the foods. Most of the times, it's easier to eat small and eat often, so snacking around the clock, and anytime you need to keep those around the house so they're easily available, and you just grab them and have them whenever you have a moment to try to focus on that. And then again, going for those oral nutrition supplements, we do know that they're very helpful. If you don't like the taste, you can get recipes to make them at home. I think I did bring some of the handouts. I'm in the nutrition table on the expo on the other room, so come talk to me. Now, going back to our energy yielding, we know protein is going to help us maintain muscle mass, and for protein, it does not need to be meat. Protein is present in any meat, seafood, poultry, eggs, dairy products. Greek yogurt is higher in protein, so that's usually preferred. There's soy products that are high in protein, and also all your beans, lentils, chickpeas, quinoa. Those are all foods that are very high in protein, so it does not need to be limited to meats. Many times eating meats is a little bit tiresome unless it's ground. Adding the gravies to the meat is going to make it easier to eat, but there's a lot of different options that give you enough protein. Carbs, we want you to eat any carbs that you like. So if what you love to eat is chocolate chip cookies, you're going to have chocolate chip cookies on your cabinet, and you're going to go for those as your snack. So all of those. Making those milkshakes at home, you can add both protein, carbs, and you can also add fats to them if you add some peanut butter to a protein shake that you're making at home. So there are ways that you can sneak in nutrients in a lot of different foods. And again, talking about how fats are important to give you a lot of energy, and ways to sneak them into foods are the best way to add calories. The only two I think I haven't mentioned is about the avocados and hummus. So those are easy, they're creamy, they're usually easy to swallow, and could be added to different foods, so those are a green light. I'm talking about hydration needs, and I was talking a lot about water, many people say, oh, I hate to drink water. Raise your hand if you like to drink water. Okay, about half of you. All right. So the other half, there's a lot of other ways that we can meet hydration needs, okay? It counts the same way. The only thing I don't really count is alcoholic beverages because they dehydrate you, and beverages that are high in caffeine because those have a powerful diuretic effect. Whenever you drink coffee, you usually need to use the restroom right after that, so it's going to flush that out of the system. Everything else counts. So if you have a caffeine-free tea, if you're doing fruit infusions, if you're having some juice, so there are different options that can allow you to increase water intake. If that water is frozen in a popsicle, it's totally fine. If that's water, it's in a soup that you're eating for your lunch, that also counts. If the water is in a watermelon that you're having as a snack. Okay, so don't be limited to, oh, I hate water, so I can never meet that. There's a lot of ways. Low appetite. We do not want to fill our tummies with liquids. We want to eat first, and then we're going to drink whatever beverage you like to drink, even if it is an Ensure. You want to eat some, and then drink your Ensure. Soft, moist, cut into small pieces, all of those are going to help you with chewing less and spending less energy to eat. Smaller portions, more frequent meals, we spoke about those. We talked about the nutrition supplements. Make that food look yummy. I do have some modes at the nutrition desk, but there are modes that you can use for pureed foods to make it look like the real food. The texture is going to be pureed, but it looks better on the plate. Use garnishes. Be creative on the way you have your plate, and try to eat with company. When we eat alone, we usually don't care that much about it, but if we have that with people that we enjoy being with, it makes it a lot easier for us to eat. If you're tired, take a nap before you eat. That helps. Chewing and swallowing difficulty, small bites. Follow recommendations from your speech-language pathologist, but really concentrate on what you're doing to prevent choking. Eat slowly. Eat what you can. When you're tired, stop, and you may come back and eat again in about 1 or 2 hours. If you need to do that, it's fine. It's distributed throughout the day. Sit in the upright position and don't lay down right after you eat. Wait at least 30 minutes. Keep your suction machine nearby, because if you need it, you have it. Constipation. Hydration is key, and also fiber intake is key. Now with ALS, we do not want to add way too much fiber as much as supplements. The evidence we have is contradictory so far as fiber supplement use. So I prefer to recommend it from the foods instead of using the supplements, because there are some studies that show not a very good effect with the supplements. You can include those probiotic foods with their fermented foods and yogurts and all of that. This is a picture of a squatty potty that can be used. The position of it will help with GI motility. And try to walk as much as you can. I know for many of you it's not possible, but for many of you it is possible. And if it is a little bit, it helps. And if you cannot do that, you can do the positioning. That will also be a good idea. Self-feeding. I know you have the presentation from OT and PT. I just brought some ideas here with the modified utensils that can be used. Rely and make peace with receiving help from a caregiver. I think it's a lot of it in how we accept that, but it can be a very important step here to help you eat better. You have some of the images there. And now our last one is decision-making about feeding tubes. We do have some feeding tube materials to show at the nutrition table too, but really looking at the timing is very important. We don't want to wait too long for this. It is a decision to be made together with your medical team, and you want, very importantly, to be educated on what it is, how it works, how that may change your life, How is the caring for it? How is the procedure done? So go for the learning before you make a decision, but try not to take too long to make a decision. We know that the earlier this happens along the disease stage, the better the chances for not having any type of intolerance, which means you feel bloated, you have discomfort, you don't really go well with the formula. The sooner we do it, the better the outcomes are. One important thing to think is not only with foods, but also with hydration. Some people are still okay eating some, but can't really drink anything without choking. Hydration needs can be easily met by the feeding tube. And you may be eating all your foods by mouth and flushing water on that feeding tube. And remember how hydration is important. And when meals become a burden, that's probably more than time for a feeding tube to be there to help you. And this is not possible without a teamwork. And I think working on an ALS multidisciplinary clinic is a great privilege because the whole team really works together for all of you. And we're here if you guys have any questions or anything. I don't think we have a lot of time for questions because we're over time, but we are at the nutrition table and we can talk more about it. Thank you all.